Week 5 Fantasy Football Predictions. Kamish here. We'll start off by reminding everybody this year we have 6 teams that are going to the playoffs, and oddly enough, we have a 6-way tie for first place. There are 6 teams sitting at 3-1. That would be Van Roto, Monday Night Miracle, Abusement Park, War Nation, Dogs of War, and Team Markovich. If the season ended today, the fantasy season, those 6 teams would go to the playoffs. Still early in the season. We're only through 4 weeks of fantasy football, and it's anybody's game. I do want to go back to something I said last week. It was a miracle for Joe G to win, and it almost turned into a miracle to lose. I believe he was down by 8 or 10 or 12 points going into Monday night. Stafford and Tate to go, and unfortunately he still lost. So Joe G joins Alex at 0-4 in the dress race. It's a 2-man race right now, but there's still a lot of season left. We'll see what happens. Last week I went 4-2 in my predictions, which takes the season total to 17-7. And we're going to go right into the picks for this week. The first game that we're going to look at is Danish House Mafia versus Metal Militia, a inter-family battle. Danish House is 1-3 and Metal Militia is 2-2. Looking at the rosters here, Danish House has another hope for Arian Foster. He plays tonight actually against a luckless Indianapolis Colts, or that's the reports coming in right now. So we have Blunt, Foster, Aaron Rodgers, Allen Robinson, Evans, Clay, Hankerson, Giants defense, and Tucker versus Mariota, Martin, Freeman. Freeman is absolutely on fire. You would think after the first week of him blowing up that it was just a fluke. He does it again, and he does it again. So that earned him the right to be the number 1 fantasy football running back through 4 weeks. And we'll see if that streak continues. We have A.J. Green and we have T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton definitely takes a hit if Andrew Luck's not playing. Right now, the line is minus 0.2 for Danish House Mafia. And based on the starting lineups, I think Arian Foster is going to have a good game today. This is going to be his first good game of the year, I believe. And he's going to carry Danish House Mafia to a win. My prediction is Danish House Mafia beats Metal Militia. The next game is Everyday I'm Rustling versus Dogs of War. Take a look here. We do have a kicker on bye for Joe G, and the line is actually 27.7 for Dogs of War. Dogs of War does have some injury concerns, but Demaryius Thomas questionable. Brandon Cooks is questionable as well. And also Lance Dunbar is in the lineup for Everyday I'm Rustling, which he's on IR, so he's not going to be on game time. Still, it's going to be tough to make up that differential in points. Dogs of War has more name power as well as power in terms of players that are performing. Don't want to use the miracle term again, but we're going to give this one to Dogs of War, beating Everyday I'm Rustling. Everyday I'm Rustling goes from fantasy champion to 0-5 in my prediction. The next game is a long-time rivalry, if you will, between Jamie Proctor and I. Jamie Proctor sitting at 3-1. I'm 2-2. Right now, ESPN is giving me a advantage of 3.3 points, and it should be a good battle. I think both of our teams are going into week 5 relatively strong. Proctor's led by Brady and Lacey, with Emmanuel Sanders and Hopkins. Also, Gates is coming back for the first time. He's starting Antonio Gates. I have Carson Palmer against Detroit, Jamal Charles, and hopefully Latavius Murray plays. If not, I'm going to be in some trouble. However, I am going to say that I'm going to go with the home team on this one and predict that I will win. Sorry, Proc. See what happens. The next game is another 0-4 team, South Campbell, or the other 0-4 team, against one of the teams tied for first, which is Van Roto. Van Roto is not the game of the week this week. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. The line is actually giving South Campbell a 11-point spread. We do have the Dolphins defense in for Van Roto, which could very well make up that 11-point spread. So we're going to say this one's going to be pretty close. Peyton Manning against Oakland. That could be favorable. We have Randall against New England. I'm not sure how they're going to use Randall, if they're going to use him more with Dunbar hurt. Hyde against New York. Odell Beckham, Larry Fitzgerald against Detroit. Donald, C.J. Anderson. We'll see what happens there. It's a good matchup against Oakland. Tyrod Taylor, Frank Gore, Yeldon against Tampa Bay. Calvin against Arizona. James Jones is questionable. And Van Roto does get Gronk back. We are going to say there is going to be an upset. South Campbell will get his first win of the season, beating Van Roto. And expect big performances from Odell Beckham. And I'm going to say Peyton Manning is going to have a good game against Oakland as well. The next game is War Nation versus the Hoseheads. War Nation's 3-1. Hoseheads is 1-3. Looking at the line here, War Nation is heavily favored to win by ESPN, 17.3 points. Got Matt Ryan, Deion Lewis, Jeremy Hill, Julio, John Brown, Eifert, Carlos Williams. A couple questionable guys, but I think Jeff does have enough depth where if one of these guys don't play, he'll still be okay. Hoseheads, Melvin Gordon, Chris Johnson, Jeffrey, Cooper, Daniels, Floyd, Seahawks. More powers on War Nation. I'm going to say War Nation beats the Hoseheads to go to 4-1. Finally, we have the game of the week, and it's the game of the week because we have two teams that are tied for first place. Mind you, it's a sixth-place tie, but we have two 3-1 teams going at it. One is guaranteed to at least be tied for first place going into the next week, while the other will be at 3-2. Those two teams are Monday Night Miracle at 3-1 and Team Markovich at 3-1. This one is actually a very close line, favoring Team Markovich by 0.3. However, Team Markovich also has the Jets defense in, and they are on a bye. So once that gets replaced, there is going to be a huge swing, or a relatively strong swing, in terms of Team Markovich having the edge, according to ESPN. Let's look at the matchups here. We have Eli Manning against San Fran, Morris against Atlanta. A lot of ats for Monday Night Miracle. Gurley at Green Bay. Antonio Brown at San Diego. Percy Harvin at Tennessee. Jimmy Graham at Cincinnati. I expect Jimmy Graham to actually have a big game against Cincinnati, so that's going to help out Monday Night Miracle and Team Dustin. We have Russell Wilson, which, of course, if Jimmy Graham has a good game, Russell Wilson probably will as well. Le'Veon Bell at San Diego. Mark Ingram. Randall Cobb. Julian Edelman. Witten. Vincent Jackson. I'm going to give this one to Pops and say that he wins this game. He should have actually won last game. He barely lost. I think it was like 0.8 points. He could have very well be 4-0. But I think he's going to rebound here once that defense gets in. And Team Markovich will go to 4-1. So there you have it. Week 5 fantasy football predictions. I hope everybody enjoys the week. And good luck. Thanks.